Hi guys, it's Ashley back with Loomfinity. I'm here to show you today how to make this Roger Rabbit charm. And in order to create him, you'll need about 158 white bands, 15 of a lighter pink. I used the light pink that's in the Rainbow Loom skin tone package. You'll need about 23 yellow, 5 orange for his hair, 3 of blue. I used Rainbow Loom's Ocean Blue. If you don't have those, any other lighter blue that you might have. And you'll need about 50 red bands. So if you want to collect your supplies, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, the first part we're going to work on today is going to be his ears. You'll need your loom in the staggered configuration. I have already made one ear, so I'm going to show you how to make one, and then you can just pause the video to make a second one. So we're going to start with our white bands, and you're going to start on the top of the loom with a single white band, and you're just going to create a triangle across the top 3 pegs and push that down. We are then going down the left side of the loom 6 times with single doubled rubber bands. So you take a single white and double it, and you're going to come down a total of 6 times. So the next one is another single double, and that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then taking another single double, you're going to come from that left peg, 7th left peg, into the center peg here at a diagonal. So take a single and double it, and you're going to come in at an angle. And we're now going to repeat the same thing on the right hand side. So single double, and bringing that one as well in at the angle. We then need to fill in our center row. You'll be using your light pink for that. These are also single doubles, so taking a single light pink, you're going to double it, coming from the center first to the center second peg. And we're going to continue straight down till it meets the point at the bottom of the white. Now at the bottom, we're going to place a capping band. You're taking a single white and you're going to create 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Except my last one just slipped on off there. And then we're going to place our crossover band. So starting on the second peg down on the left with a single white, you're going to place it in the triangle, and this will be a single double. So taking a single white, double it, and create the triangle like that. And we're going to do this all the way down. So single double, another single double, another single double, placing another one, and then one more on these bottom 3 pegs. So single white, double. And this is what you should have. Once we've placed that, we can begin looping. So you're going to go in through the capping band, grabbing the top pink bands and bringing those forward. And we're going to go ahead and loop straight up the center. Going back down through the capping band, grabbing the top 2 for the top white band that's single doubled, and coming over to the right, I'm going to go ahead and loop up to that top peg. And I'm going to stop on this peg here, coming back down through the capping band and grabbing the next two and going to the left and looping that straight up. I'm then going to go in through this top right peg, grabbing that single band and bringing it over to the center and doing the same thing on the left. Now we're going to remove this to place on our holding hook. I would suggest using the end of another hook or something smaller to pop them off, since they are all single double. They have the potential to break if you just grab them from the top and pull them off, kind of like they do with the bracelets. And that is how you create his ear. So go ahead and pause the video, make another ear, and then we can continue on. The next piece that we're going to create is his arm. I'll show you how to make one of them, and then you'll just need to pause the video to make the second one. Starting on the top of the loom, you're going to come down 4 times with double white bands, so taking 2 white bands, and then just repeat that 4 times, coming straight down. So that's 2. That's 3 and 4. And then in order to create the hand, we're going to be doing that on the hook. You'll need your yellow bands for that. Take a single yellow band. On your hook, you're going to create 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Taking another single yellow, we're going to double it, and you're going to feed this onto that single doubled band and reclaim the other side. Pinch that together. Taking another yellow, single double, and repeat that again, just like that. And just leave that there on your hook. And we're going to repeat this process 2 more times. So taking a single, create 4 loops, taking a single yellow, double it, feed these on into place, pinch that together, taking another single, double it, and we're going to repeat that 1 more time. So taking your single, create your 4 loops, single double, and 1 more single double. Then we need to attach all of these pieces together, and to do that you're going to take 2 yellow bands and you're going to do a double double, so you're taking both of them and doubling them over, grabbing them with your hook and feeding the fingers on to the palm. Reclaim the other side, and that's his hand, and we're going to use that as the capping band at the base of the arm. So you're just going to go ahead and hook that to that last peg. Once that's in place, just loop straight up. Make sure you're only grabbing the bottom 2 white bands that are under the hand. Then I'm going to grab my holding hook and set that aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second hand, and we'll continue on. The next piece that we're going to create is just his foot, and I've already made one, so I'll show you how to make one, pause the video, and make a second one when we're done. You'll be using white bands. You're coming from the center peg with a single white band. You're going to double it, coming down once. Then you're going to take 2 white bands and come down the center row 3 times. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to come from the center second peg out to the left second peg with 2 white bands, and coming down the left side as well, we're coming down 3 times. So 2 white bands here, that's 1, 2, and 3. And then taking 2 more white bands, we're going to close off this bottom angle here. And we're going to cap off this left corner, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a single white band, we're going to place the crossover bands. So a single white, you're going to double it, coming from the center third to the left third peg at an angle. And repeat that again, single double from the center fourth to the left fourth. And then we can begin looping. So we're going to go through the capping band, grabbing the first 2 bands, bringing those up and over to the right. Go back in your capping band, grabbing the next 2 and bringing them forward. And we're going to go ahead and loop up the outside area. Make sure you're going inside your holding crossover bands, not from the outside. You want to go from the inside here. And bringing this one over to the center. Then I'm going to go back down here and loop straight up the center row. And that is how you create his foot. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second foot, and then we can continue on. The next part that we're going to create is his little snout and his little nose here. To do that, you're going to take a single white band coming down the left peg 1 time, the center peg 1 time, and the right peg 1 time. So it's 1, 2, 3. Then switching over to double bands, so taking 2 white bands, coming from the right second peg, bringing it in at an angle to the center. And I'm going to do the same thing on the left. That's 2 white bands. And then taking 2 more white bands on the center to fill it in. You're going to take a single light pink on this third center peg and cap that off 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then taking a single white, we're going to place a crossover band. Let me just check. Sorry guys, it's been a while since I made him. And we are going to place a single white band on the second peg down in the triangle. Then we're going to go in and loop this up, so grabbing the first 2 white bands, bringing those forward, and bringing the next single up. Go back in, grabbing 2 white bands. Mine go up and to the left, and then grabbing this one here, and then grabbing the last set to the right. Then want to grab a holding hook. Now because this is the top of his nose, we want to remove it from underneath, so don't stick your hook through the top to pop these off. You're actually going to flip from the side, take your hook, go in, and grab the bands from underneath. Just like this. And that will give you his little nose. There is one more piece that we're going to create in advance, and that's his little bow. So you're going to take 3 blue bands, and you can hook them on the top left peg, just hook them straight across. You're going to grab a yellow. We want to do 2 yellows, and you're going to take these and drop them over this second peg. You then want to take your hook, you're going to go underneath, so right through here, straight through the bottom, not up through here, just straight through the bottom. Grab your 2 yellow bands and bring them out from the side and bring them back over to that peg. You're then going to grab these bottom 2 bands, so you're creating a slip knot over the blue. Then take your hook with the yellow, and what I do is just hold these 2 blue bands down so that you can tighten this up, and then pull it off, and that will give you his little bow. And you're going to set that aside for once the character is fully complete. We will attach this last after he is off the loom, but we've already created that, so we'll go ahead and set that aside. Now that we have all the extra pieces, we can begin the layout. So you're going to be starting with some white bands, and I will be using double bands unless I specify otherwise. So you're coming from the center top peg out to the left with 2 white bands, and you're going to repeat that going to the right. And then we're coming down the left side 2 times with 2 white bands. And then coming into the center peg from the left third to the center fourth. Repeat that on the right side. And then we're going to go ahead and fill in the center. We then want to do the neck, and for the neck you'll need 3 white bands. And then switching back to 2 bands, so you'll be placing 2 bands from the center coming out to the left, 2 more from the center and out to the right, and then you'll come down twice off the center with 2 white bands. So that's 1 and 2. Now before we move on to the jumper, we actually want to go ahead and place the arms now, otherwise it'll impact the red coloring. So we're going to go ahead and take our 2 arm pieces and we're going to connect them now to the 2 shoulder pegs. Just like that. And now we're going to switch over to some red bands. So what you're going to do is you're going to be using 2 red bands, and you're going to come down the left hand side 5 times with those 2 red bands. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then you're going to continue all the way to the bottom, but this time you're switching to 3 red bands. So you're going to use 3 red bands and you're going to come down straight to the bottom of the loom, so 3 times. And we're going to repeat that process on the right side. So again, taking 2 red bands, I'm going to come down 5 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then coming down the rest of the loom with 3 red bands. So 3 red bands 3 times. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And we're then going to fill in the center by coming down with 2 red bands 3 times. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now we can go ahead and attach our feet to the bottom. So taking your 2 paws, you're just going to attach one to this peg and one to this peg here. I lost the band. We're also going to take his ears and attach them to the top 2 pegs, one on the left, one on the right. Just like that. Now we also need to create his face extensions. So you're going to do that with your hook. You're going to take a single white on your hook. You're going to create 4 loops. Taking 2 white bands, you're going to feed those loops on there, hooking that back, and taking 2 more white bands and bringing that through as well. And what you're going to want to do is we're hooking this to the 2nd right peg and the 3rd right peg. We actually have only the 2 bands here, so you're taking 2 of them and hooking them to that 2nd peg and then 2 onto this 3rd peg, like this. So those first 2 will go there, and the next 2 will go here. And then just make sure that that is facing out like that. So we're going to do that again. Single white, creating 4 loops, taking 2 white bands, feeding that in place, taking 2 more, and I'm now going to hook this to the 2nd peg down on the left and the 2nd or 3rd peg down on the left, just like this. And we also are going to do the eyes. Now I am using 2 white pony beads for the eyes. If you don't have that, you could always do the black bands wrapped on your hook. But you're going to take your single white and just feed that through. Now before I place this, I want to place my crossover band, so I'm taking a single white on this 2nd peg and creating a triangle. Then taking my eyes, I'm going to place those on the same peg and separate them. And I'm going to pull this, go through those 2 bands and pull this up and over this peg here, just like that. We then need to place another band, a single triangle, right here as well on this 3rd peg down. Coming down into the body, we're going to place some crossover bands. So starting on the pegs below the arms, take a single red and create a triangle. And you're going to do that again. Single red, single red, and another single red. So you came down 4 times with red triangles. For the last one, you're going to go down to these 2 pegs here, create a triangle. You want to grab the bottom part of that triangle and pull it up and over that center peg, so it actually creates like an upside down V, just like that. Now we can go ahead and begin looping. So we're going to go in through the feet, and I'm going to go ahead at this point and I'm going to loop straight up the side row. We do want to stop here, so if you get ahead of me, make sure you stop when you hit this band, these 2 bands here. The easiest way, because I know I tend to forget if I don't pay attention, So I'm going to take a single yellow. I'm going to create 4 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to begin looping. So going in through the feet, grabbing those 3 red bands and bringing those forward. And then just moving straight up. Now when I get to this one here, when I go through, I'm going to grab those 2 bands and I want to feed these yellow bands onto this red band to create his little buttons on his jumper. Then going back in, grabbing this red. Make sure you go through the arms, grabbing only the bottom 2 white and bringing those up into the center. Now I'm going to go on and do the left side. So again, I want to take a single yellow on my hook, create my 4 loops so I don't forget. Going through this bottom foot, grabbing my 3 red bands, and just looping straight up. Again, when I get to that second red, I'm going to pull that up and feed on my yellow bands, and then hook it to the next peg. And now I'm going to go back down and loop up the center. When you get to the neck, remember there's 3 bands on the neck, so we want to go through, making sure to grab all 3 bands from the neck and bringing those forward. Now when we get up here, we're going to grab the first 2 bands, bringing those forward, grab the next 2, bringing them over to the right, and the next 2 over to the left. Before I can continue, I need to hook his snout, so we're going to push all of this down, grabbing your snout. And if you remember, there's 3 sets of 2 bands from the 3 rows. So I'm going to hook 2 of them on this 3rd peg on the right, 2 in the center, and 2 on the left. And now I can continue looping, so I'm going to go ahead and go in the right side, making sure to only grab these bottom 2 bands. Make sure that this part, the attachment, is still facing out. Mine had rolled in. We don't want that to be on the inside, we want that on the outside. And when you go through here, make sure you go through all of the pieces from the ear, grabbing the bottom 2 and bringing them up into the center. And I'm going to do that on the left as well. And then go ahead and fill in the center. Now you want to push down on these here. Before we can pull him off or place his slip knot, we need to do his hair. So to do that, you'll need a couple of your orange bands. And what I did was on my hook, I took a single orange and just looped it on itself once. So I'm going to do that again, creating 1 loop. And I'm going to do this 4 times. So in total I have 4 bands that I have just looped over once. I'm then going to take a single orange, I'm going to double it, and I want to feed all of these onto that band and reclaim that on the other side. And before I attach him, I'm just going to go ahead and adjust it, so sometimes you'll get 1 band longer than the other. And we're going to place this on the top center peg. Just like that. Then taking a single white, I'm going to go through all of these bands to create my slip knot, but I don't want to go up and over the hair. So what you want to do is grab the entire section of hair. You're going to go in through the gap here that you see right in there, grabbing this back white band and bringing it forward. Then I can create my slip knot. And before I pull him off, instead of trying to adjust that later, I'm actually going to flip my loom over and I'm going to go back through that same hole, grabbing the slip knot and pulling it onto the back side of the rabbit. Just like that. Now he's ready to come off the loom. Now that you've pulled him off of the loom, which I had to pause and edit because I did the one thing I usually tell people not to do. When I loomed up his arm, I grabbed the wrong band. And so when I started pulling him off the loom, his whole arm fell off, so I had to pull him off and fix him without having to redo the entire character, which is very time consuming. So hopefully you do not miss that band as well, because I apparently went in and grabbed the wrong band when I was looping. So this is what he'll look like when he comes off of your loom. And then what you're going to do is flip him over, take his slip knot, and you're going to want to hide that into the back of his head. His cheeks, you're just going to pull those out on the side. You're going to take your Sharpie and draw on his pupils. And then we need to attach his bow. So to do that, all I did with him was I flipped him over. I'm going to take my hook, go through this whole area in the neck, and you're going to grab the bottom of the yellow bands, pulling that in just like that, and then flip him back over and pretty much just hide these bands into the body. And that will hold his bow in place. So that is how you create Roger Rabbit. Don't forget to subscribe for updates on future videos, and I hope you like him.